Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, July 12th, and it is not coming home. Tom, what's up?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. It's a nice Monday. It rained, like downpour all here for like 3 hours this morning. Now it's beautiful out, but it's probably humid, so I probably won't go outside. How's the weather in
Yeah.
New York or wherever you are?
It's actually pretty nice out. It's been
Oh,
really weird.
that's what I guess now I don't know. This is what I was wondering. Is like New York City flooded?
Well, I don't live in New York City. I live in
I
New
know, but
Jersey, but I don't think it's flooded.
I saw videos last week of like people coming out of the subway and they were swimming.
Oh, the subway. Yeah, the subway gets pretty bad. I wouldn't
What
say it was flooded, but like I guess there's no better word for it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't go into the city too much.
I would never go into the city. I would die in the city. So we have a lot to talk about today. A lot of things happened over the weekend. Obviously we had the NBA Finals last night. The Bucks. It is no longer Suns in four, apparently, and the Bucks look somewhat impressive, but we'll get into that. Obviously, the biggest story around the world is probably England once again going to penalties and choking. I have a lot to say about that, but we'll let that come. And yeah, I mean the McGregor fight, or whatever it wasn't a fight, but we have to talk about that. The MLB All Star Game's coming up. Yeah, so we have a lot to go over today. So we're just gonna kind of hop right in and bounce around, but obviously we have to do today in sports history. Um, in 1901, Cy Young won his 300th game. That's
300 wins.
yeah.
I
I mean
think that's the watermark now, right?
yeah, that's the watermark now, and they keep saying like they don't think guys are going to get there anymore. Like they think it's going to be like the 275, 250 club because of the way
Yeah, the way
like
the game
I
has
I
changed.
fully expect Jacob deGrom by the time he's retired to have 300 wins. Like I fully expect Max Scherzer and those guys because they've been around long. But some of these new up and coming pitchers, yeah, it just seems like what it also seems like that a pitcher, if they're young, they have to have Tommy John surgery at some point, so they just miss a year. So,
Well, and the way that the game is played nowadays, with 12 different relievers coming in for various situations, yeah, it
yeah,
takes away any chance sometimes that pitchers have of getting the W.
yeah. So, and then in 1921, Babe Ruth set the then home run record with his 137th career home run. Um, Barry Bonds holds it now. I think it's 755.
Yeah, 755.
Something around there. I mean, he took a lot of steroids, but then again, so did a lot of those guys in those days. Also in 1921, I really wish I was an Indians fan in 1921 because the Indians and the Yankees, the Indians had 9, the Yankees had 7. They combined for a record doubles. I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't think the Indians or the baseball team as a team, I don't think they have more than 9 doubles this year. I really don't. And I also just exit out of my outline, so I'm just going to kind of keep talking a
Dude,
little bit. But I really don't think the Indians have like more than 2 or 3 doubles. They got, I don't know if we brought it up here, they got no hit again last week. Like
we did talk
um,
about it.
in the 7 inning game, so it wasn't a real one.
Yeah,
But they're so bad. I've been kind of going back and forth with my guy Zach Meisel, who writes for the News for the Athletic, and I'm trying to get him kind of on the podcast. Or I kind of at this point is trying to ask him some questions. And I honestly it's disrespectful, but I won't never do it. But I just want to be like, dude, like how can you write about this team and not absolutely hate everything about them? So that was the question I would ask, but I like. Maybe it's fun. Maybe he just like I could absolutely be like a Clemson writer and just destroy the team and destroy Dabo. But that's all right.
I don't think they'd hire you then.
I think we're gonna start out with some trivia as well. I think you got the last one,
Oh,
Tom. I don't
true.
know, but so with Italy winning yesterday, this has absolutely nothing to do with it. But Italy is third all time in World Cup wins. Who's 1-2?
So they're third, and I'm finding 1 and 2. I mean, I would assume it's one of the powerhouses. So I'll say one of them is Brazil
Yes.
and Argentina. No, that sounds wrong.
Nah, you're on the right track, I guess. But no, the other one is. I'll give you a hint. It is a European country.
Germany.
They were very racist at one point in their lives.
Germany.
Yes, Germany's second.
Okay, I knew it was going to be two powerhouses.
Yeah. Brazil. I guess we also have to mention that Messi won the Copa. It's his only major trophy. I guess it basically just evens him and Cristiano Ronaldo back up because they both have won a major trophy now, and they both played absolutely no part in them getting that trophy. Messi was an absolute ghost on Friday or on Saturday. If you watched the game, you wouldn't even know he was out there. And then when Portugal won the Euro, actually the last Euro, 2016,
right.
Ronaldo came out in like the 10th minute because he was hurt. So they both just had basically nothing to do with either of it, but whatever.
Yikes.
I guess the first, we'll go kind of backwards in order of how it went, I guess. So the NBA Finals last night, like I said, I guess it's not the Suns in 4. Tom decided to also, after the Suns lost, he decides now to wear a Wake Forest Chris Paul jersey. And everyone out there that's a Suns fan, you need to tweet at him and tell him that if they lose another game, he needs to burn the jersey, or you need to burn him, I guess. So with the jersey on, I guess. So I don't know, but
you're gonna have to find it first.
Booker was awful last night. Wow. Probably the worst game. Probably his worst game of the season. I think he was 3 for 13 or something. So, I mean, it's not surprising they had one of those games. Him and Chris Paul weren't gonna stay red hot for I mean, they've basically been red hot since the playoffs started.
Yeah, so it's difficult to tell them they need to be red hot for 30 games straight.
Yeah. So DeAndre Ayton looked good in the beginning. I basically watched up to the third quarter. I didn't really watch the end of it. I don't necessarily hate Milwaukee, but I mean, it's just kind of. I mean, Milwaukee sport. The Milwaukee Bucks are like a complete representation of Green Bay and Wisconsin sports. They're just so boring. I don't know what it is about Giannis, but I just don't enjoy watching him at all. At all whatsoever. He basically just is he basically gains momentum and just kind of rolls down the lane and usually gets a foul called, and then he probably hits one of 2 free throws. I've said it once, I'll say it again. He'll never be a top 5 player in the league until he can develop a consistent jumper, let alone
consistent free throws. Yeah.
But what do you got on the finals?
Nothing. I'm trying to pull up the stats, but the computer's acting a little funny. I mean, just looking at Chris Paul, for him to say that he had a bad game when he put up 19 and with 9 assists is yeah, that sucks, and it's not going to beat the Bucks, but it's still a pretty good outing. Otherwise, Ayton had 18 with 9 rebounds, so I think the Bucks just. I think that you and I sort of talked about this though. It was never going to be in 4 because they kind of wanted.
Milwaukee was always probably going to go home and at least win 1. I think they might win the second game at home.
Maybe.
But I mean, the Suns are a kind of team they're not this dominant team that is just going to run through opponents 4-0, 4-0. I mean, they did so far, but they were also, like we said, red hot for most of those. And yeah, so I kind of expected the Bucks to win one of these games at least, and it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, or if they won the next game too. But yeah, to me, Giannis just isn't exciting. It's another weird Milwaukee thing, the beer chugging at the I mean, I get David Bothraki, and I guess there was a Barstool guy there that did it too.
When Bothraki's dad did it too.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just not cool. It just doesn't. I feel if that happened in Phoenix, that would be so cool. But in Milwaukee, it's oh yeah, I'm gonna get plowed and drunk at the Bucks game, and then I'm gonna go to the Deer District and hit up BW3s and drink some cocktails. Like, I don't know. I've never been to Wisconsin. Maybe I should go. I'm sure they have good fishing. They don't have good basketball or football, but I mean, whatever. Like, we can overlook that for now. It's whatever. I guess the last thing I'll say, I still think the Suns are going to win either 4-2 or 4-1. I really can't see how this goes to 7 games. The only way I see it going to 7 games is if it goes to 7 games, I think the Bucks end up winning.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. I don't really see it going 7 games. I do think that it's going to be a 4-1, right, with the gentleman's sweep. Because I don't know the minutes, and that's what I was trying to pull up. But it wouldn't surprise me if Booker didn't play as many minutes as he did in the first 2 games. My computer's not going, but a 20-point loss obviously isn't great. But if he didn't play as many minutes as he used to, like, that could just be a resting thing for him to finish out the last 2 games.
Yeah,
and be a gentleman's sweep, like we had
I'm
talked
gonna pull it
about.
up real quick. I got the box score coming up. Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of weird in essence to watch like a hot shooting team like that, or it happens really more in March Madness, I feel like, and they get to like another gym, or like in March Madness when they get to they get to the Final Four, and it's it's basically the Carrier Dome or it's the Indianapolis Dome or whatever, and their shot perception or their depth perception is just way off. It does feel like that. So like him coming out and having a really bad game, it doesn't shock me. I'm looking at Booker. He only played 29 minutes, which is less than 30, which is definitely less than he would usually play.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm thinking Williams probably wanted to rest him for the rest of the series and give him the gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I also, I mean, this is more of like kind of a conspiracy thing, but Monty Williams is kind of right, kind of not. But after the game, he said, like, we had 15 total free throws as a team and Giannis had 17. A, that's probably your strategy, kind of, is to foul him. And B, like a big guy like that, he's going to get fouled. Well, I mean, I feel like the NBA, I think we talked about it earlier when Pete Alonso said that, like, they doctor the balls best, like, based on that free agent class. I think they send. Like, I'm almost like certain now they send certain referees to influence the outcome, not make bad calls, not make like egregious calls necessarily, but they can change how, like, 15 free throws for the Suns yesterday is not a lot at all, and 17 is a lot for Giannis. But then again, like I said, you foul him, but I feel like if that game would have had a different referee, he probably wouldn't have had 17 free throws. So I do really believe that they send certain referee crews that kind of almost fit their narrative. And if they're going to do that, whatever. I like more sports. But it is kind of getting obvious at this point. Like, I can't remember the ref they sent yesterday, but like he's been never favorable to Chris Paul. Like, he hates Chris Paul, and like he always calls fouls for Giannis. I don't know, but it's just weird. Like, I don't think it's definitely not like gambling or anything like that, but I think they do definitely control. They want to put a little bit of control on the outcome, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and the NBA was never going to let this be a true sweep because they lose so much money for every game that's not played.
Exactly. And they're already, I mean, it's hard to say a company like a monopoly like the NBA lost money, but they did kind of lose money through the pandemic by having to play in the bubble. So, I mean, I do think they want more basketball, but yeah, I mean, Devin Booker was 3 for 14 last night, 1 of 7 from 3, 3 of 5 from the foul line, which is, I mean, he usually shoots 90%. So I don't know. I also think that not having Dario Saric, who was okay at best in the playoffs, but he's a big body that can accumulate fouls or get in the way of Giannis. So I do think him going down has a little bit of an effect because they've had to play Torrey Craig a lot, who, I mean, is a good defender and an okay overall player, but he's like a twig. And so, yeah, whatever. We'll move on unless you got anything else. Okay, we'll move on to the Euro final yesterday. I'll start out at I would have given probably both of my testicles to have been in England yesterday. Like, I mean, that looked like the most fun ever. Like, England had it all yesterday. They had Wimbledon in the morning, so you go to the Wimbledon, you have some champagne, and then you go to the Euro, or you go wherever your watch party is, and you just have fun. And then obviously, it took a great turn for England, and it was going to be a great day for Manchester United when Luke Shaw scored the quickest goal in the history of the Euro final. I will say, as soon as they scored that goal, I became nervous, and I will say I wanted England to win. It is almost like at some point, like I want Gonzaga to win a national championship, just because they can stop talking about it. Like, so I would like to see England win, and as an American who basically follows the Premier League, I know all their players because they all play in England.
Right.
So that was awesome, and Luke Shaw, but I'm not going to really get into it because, I mean, there's tactics and things like that. Southgate, I mean, you could see it in the game. Gareth Southgate, the England manager, once they scored that goal, they basically dropped back to a five-line defense, and they basically didn't even attempt to go forward the rest of the first half. And then his substitutions at the end were, I mean, it's something that he needs to be blamed for. Like, putting Saka in at that point in the game, I didn't think it was a terrible substitution, but he's more of an offensive threat than a defensive threat. And then as soon as they put Saka in, it's like Italy scored right away. And then obviously 1-1. Like, if I'm in England, at least, or I'm a fan of England, like I don't want to go to penalties. They have the worst history in the world when it comes to penalties and losing heartbreakers to penalties. And it seems like they were playing for the extra time, the one extra time period. And it seems like at the end, I mean, they were both playing for it. I mean, literally the ball was in midfield for about from the 80th minute on, basically. And then they went to the extra time. And so you get an extra sub. And so he puts in Jordan Henderson. I think he actually put him in during regular time for absolutely no reason. I have no idea why he put Jordan Henderson in. He's one of the older guys on the team. Basically, he's just like a controlling midfielder. It's all he does. Made no sense. And then they go to the extra time. So you get 3 subs in the regular game, then you get an extra one, and everything carries over into the extra time. And then he waited. Like, Italy was making runs and runs and runs towards the goal. They looked the more dangerous team. They looked the better side to score. And he waited until the 118th minute when he was basically bringing on 2 Manchester United players, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho. And basically, so fast forward and you go to the PKs, the penalty kicks. Mm-hmm. Rashford and Sancho hadn't been on the field for more than 2 minutes. So basically their entrance to the game was the most nerve-wracking experience of their lives, probably. That said, they shouldn't miss penalties. You should never miss a penalty. I don't know how they do it. But I think so. And then, well, we'll stick to the game, and then I'll get to the other parts. But it sucked. I didn't want to see Italy win. They're just a bunch of old men that are all in the mafia, and their fans are okay. I'll wait and say that because that's toward the end as well. But either way, it was a good game. Well, you know what? It was a good game once for like about 15 minutes when the score. No, I take it back. It was a good game up until Italy scored the tying goal. It was a good game, and then it was boring, and they played to penalties. And then obviously Pickford makes the huge save, and then the youngest player ever to take a penalty, Saka, who plays for Arsenal, so I don't necessarily feel as bad for him. I kind of don't really care at all. And then you have guys like Sterling, who played the entire tournament, and he's like one of the more veteran leaders on the team. Like that's on you, man. Like you get whatever. Like maybe if like Sancho, then Sterling, then Rashford, maybe it would have gone different. Maybe it wouldn't have. But I mean, you've played basically every minute of this final, and you're gonna go let 2 21-year-olds and a 19-year-old kick in front of you in probably the biggest game you've ever played in your life. So I blame Sterling. I blame Southgate a lot. I blame England for not playing. I blame Southgate more for this. They didn't play the tactics well in the second half. They played way too defensive. It was, Pickford was on, they were threatening every other 5 minutes. So I do blame Southgate, but then again, this was going to happen in England. You can't just sit back the entire game and expect to just hold out against a team like Italy. Like if you're playing like Barbados or something, yeah, you can. But that, and then obviously, I guess I don't know how to put how big racism is compared to over here to in England. From what I understand, it's pretty much the same thing. So obviously, I mean, a lot of them got deleted right away and everything, but the racial slurs came flying in, not from I'm not even the Italian people yet. This is the English fans who, I mean, were just absolutely like Marcus Rashford on Saturday night won the Arthur Ashe Award at the ESPYs, which is actually like a real award because basically he saved when the pandemic happened. He was poor when he grew up, and his family relied on school lunches. So when school, they weren't in school, they didn't really have food. So he lobbied with like Congress. He did a lot of good. He's a top of the line actual human being. But he has a huge mural painted for him in Manchester, vandalized racial slurs. I'm not going to go into it because it just has no room in sports. I don't know why people keep doing it. And then I'll say this: the Italian fans that were there, I didn't really have any complaints about them. But Italy is widely known. Serie A is the big league over there. Italians are the most racist fans, maybe other than like Mexico, but they're the most racist fans in soccer. I think like 10 years ago, Italy's best player was an African-American guy forward, and he didn't do himself any favors because he was outlandish. He had the mohawk with the blonde hair, but he was their best forward. And basically he just stopped playing soccer because they were so racially offensive to him. They would throw bananas on the field. So it sucks because soccer is viewed as mostly a peaceful game and like that, but it is, racism still does exist over there. I don't know. I just wanted England to win. Whatever, Italy wins. I'm kind of over it. I was pretty pissed yesterday, but I'm kind of over it at this point. There's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, what do you have on the final?
I think you covered it pretty thoroughly and in depth. I feel bad. I forget which one. You're gonna tell me, and I'll be like, oh yeah. I feel the worst for the guy that completely faked out the Italian goalkeeper and ended up hitting the post.
That was Rashford.
Yeah. I feel the worst for him because he did everything he could. He completely faked out the keeper and it just didn't go in.
Yeah,
and then he's the one with the memorial or the mural too that got a lot of the hate and everything. And I feel horrible for him.
It sucked because that probably wasn't the biggest penalty of his career. 2 years ago, United was playing in the Champions League. Yes, they were in the Champions League. I know, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. They'll be there next year. It was a crazy time. But they were playing PSG, who was like the big French team that just basically, I don't know how you could. They're the New York Yankees. They just buy every player. It's crazy. They were playing them. So you play two legs in the Champions League in the knockout rounds. PSG beat United 3-2 or maybe 2-0 at United. So they went back. And then basically Rashford got a penalty in the 95th minute. And he hit it, nailed it, top bins. It was awesome. They won. It was a huge win. They ended up losing later, but so it probably wasn't the biggest penalty of his life. And at this point, I feel 20, 25, 30 years ago, people I guess it's the same thing. I mean, people are going to attack him on social media and everything, but I think that players now are more apt to dealing with it than just getting I don't think this is going to ruin his game or anything. So, but yeah, I mean, I did feel bad for him. And then Sancho is a guy we just signed this summer, and he obviously misses right after. And then Pickford makes that save he made was incredible because it was against Jorginho, who was the guy. It was basically their best penalty taker. He's the one who hit the penalty that sent him to the finals. And it was crazy because I saw Pickford dive it, and he blocked it, but then it hit off the post, and I thought for sure that it was behind him on his back, and he was going to roll over someone. It was just going to go in. but it didn't. And then, of course, you like once again, Sterling, dude, have some stones, man. You send the 19-year-old up, and he misses. So Sterling may have missed as well, but I would much rather if I'm Sterling, I would much rather have the blame be on me than these young kids that are basically it's the beginning of their career. So
right.
There was a lot of things that went on. I will say it was an awesome tournament. It had everything everybody wanted. The climactic final was insane. I thought I don't normally praise ESPN for anything. I thought their coverage and their studio analysts were awesome, except for Taylor Twellman, who was also on the call for the game, which I don't even know. And the fact that I think I said this before, but they had one of the more. He's retired now, but Mark Clattenburg. He refereed basically all the big games, or used to. He was in that rotation. And he sounded and looked when he was explaining to these guys why this is a penalty, why it's not, why this is the foul, why it's not. He made Gene Steratore look like a 3-month-old child. I don't ever want to see Gene Steratore on my TV screen ever again, because all he does is sit back there like this, and he's like, well, blah, 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 blah. And Mark Clattenburg at least knew what he was talking about. So I thought they did really well with that. Overall, awesome. It's going to lead into next year's World Cup, which I didn't know this. I had heard about it, but I didn't know they officially moved it. Next year's World Cup is being played on the equator, and I can go on and on about Qatar and how it shouldn't be there, but I'm not going to. So it's there. It's basically on the equator in Qatar, and you can't play in the summer there. So now I believe the dates for the next World Cup are this coming almost a year from now, are November 18th through December 25th. And while it will be obviously still be watched around the world, it will be the most watched thing around the world. It's not going to be the most watched thing in the United States. You have to go up against NFL, college football, NBA at that point, college basketball at that point. So
would the baseball? Wait, you said it was in December?
Yeah, baseball wouldn't be out. Yeah.
Okay,
Baseball's
no. I thought. Well, if it's in November, isn't the World Series in November?
Yeah, it's usually over by Thanksgiving, though.
Oh, I didn't. It said November, December. I wasn't sure.
It said November 18th. Listen to them. But yeah, so I have no idea how they're going to do that. And the other odd thing about that is they play the World Cup in the summer because that's soccer's off season. That's why you play in the World Cup in the summers in the off season. So basically, I need to do more research because my brother he kind of told me about all this because I had heard this, but I was so fed up with FIFA being corrupt and Sepp Blatter that I really didn't look into it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. These guys are just they're going to have to put their leagues on hold for 2 months, which just makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's basically because FIFA is the most corrupt organization in the world. And they should have, as soon as Sepp Blatter got convicted, they should have reopened the bidding for the 2022 World Cup. And it should, in all honesty, be in America next summer. I think that was their backup plan if this didn't come through. But now they've basically set the dates. They've built everything. The qualifiers are at times now that the normal World Cup will be going on. So it's all scheduled now. I think it's going to be a disaster. I said it when Christian Eriksen, who is actually now doing very, very well, I said that when he went down, it was going to become a major issue because of next year's World Cup. I agree still with that statement. But yeah, it's cool. At least we got because this was kind of like World Cup. So at least we got one summer of it. It would have been so much cooler if we just had next summer be it. But who knows? I guess at this point, we just have to hope the USA makes the World Cup. So because if it doesn't, I got to tell you, I'm sure FIFA isn't worried about ratings necessarily because it is the most popular event in the world. But if the USA doesn't make the World Cup, I think FIFA will start being yeah, I mean, no one in America is going to watch this.
Yeah.
So
literally, it'll be like people were watching. I was down the shore this weekend, and the amount, I'm not going to kid you, the amount of parties and the amount of screaming and stuff that, because I was watching this on my iPad, because like my family is not really into soccer, and obviously we don't watch it too often, but I was watching it because I knew we were going to record today, so I was watching it, whatever.
Thank you, Tom. Way to do your homework.
We were watching it or whatever, and the amount of screaming and chanting and cheering when anything good happened, because I was on like a 2-minute delay or a 30-second delay on my iPad. The amount of like hooting and hollering that I heard around me at my shore house was crazy. Like people were watching it for Italy. So like that,
especially on the shore.
People, yeah, especially on
the shore. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it was an awesome tournament. Yesterday was, like I said, I'm kind of over it now because I really am not a diehard fan of England. So it was a great tournament. It had everything you could ask for. And then on the side, I guess you got Messi. All you Messi stands out there, he got his one trophy. So
he got his trophy.
And don't even start. Anyone listening, don't even start. They're not going to win the World Cup next year. They're not. Argentina is not going to win the World Cup. Brazil might. Argentina is not.
Brazil.
So, all right, I'll let you pick the next one because we have everything.
Yeah, we're just going down the line here. We're on golf, I think it is.
No.
What is this 16-year-old?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this 16-year-old Jalen Lewis, I believe he is LeBron James' son age. So I think he's 16, so he's probably going to be a junior this year or a sophomore if he's old, but probably a junior. So instead of the G League, they decided to basically not in place of the G League necessarily, but like for young players, they're trying to get these guys signed early. It's called the Overtime League. I don't know how good the kid is. I oddly enough, I've never heard of his name, so I can't imagine he's that good. But and also, I mean, let's just say this out. This is destined to fail. The first one always fails. So he's going to go to the Overtime League. And it's not like he's going to be playing with a bunch of scrubs or playing for a bunch of scrubs. Kevin Ollie is his coach. So,
no way.
So I don't really know a ton about the Overtime League, but so he signed a $1 million contract. He's just not going to play high school basketball the rest of his life, and then not play college, and just go to the NBA eventually. But if he's good enough, but I depending on what happens with this kid, I mean, I actually don't think it really depends that much, honestly, because I think this is the exact this is where basketball is heading. Like they want to get these guys young. If you look at obviously the guys that are this class right now that have already signed, like Chet Holmgren and those guys, they're already signed, they're going. But if you look at the next class, who's supposed to have the next LeBron James and Monty Bates, like all five of their top prospects, if you look on 247 Sports and like you see their commitment thing, it's like all of them are going pro. They're just going to go to the G League, and so
yeah.
And I can't hate on it. I mean, Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga were the first to do it, and Kuminga has gotten mixed results. I still like him, and Green was incredible. So it's something that works, and I think this is I do think this is the way basketball's headed. I just don't see any way around it. It wouldn't surprise me if basketball eventually went to the baseball model where they just basically draft out of high school 90% of the time, and then you can still be signed. Like if you don't get drafted high enough, you can still go sign it. But yeah.
You know what's the scariest to think about with this whole situation?
What?
He's 16 years old, which means he's still growing and is still going to develop more muscles and broader shoulders and all that crap. He's 6'9" already, 235. At 16 years old.
He's probably gonna have to lose some weight.
Maybe a little, but for right now.
Yeah. No, I mean he
Jesus.
If this were a 6'1", 170-pound point guard, I'd be like, dude, this is the wrong choice for you. You're gonna be playing against kind of grown men. Don't do that. But yeah, if you're a big body dude, I'm sure he can handle the physicality of it. And I mean, I wish I was good enough to have this deal when I was 16. I mean, I just get emancipated and
Be
then
a
live by
millionaire.
myself.
Be a millionaire at 16. I take that.
But yeah, I do think it's the way basketball is going. Whether it be good or bad, whatever. Golf. I just saw this actually too. Now Dustin Johnson has dropped out.
Yeah, everyone's pulling out.
It's like
Not worth watching.
the Morikawa guy who won the gold jacket, like or the green jacket, whatever. He has withdrawn. Like Bubba Watson is withdrawn. It just seems like no one is safe. Like I don't know how to say it, but like I feel like a lot of these golfers like didn't get the vaccine or something like that, and like just kind of like, oh, we're cool, we play outside, like no big deal. And yeah, I mean, Justin Johnson has COVID. I don't know if it's the new COVID or the old COVID, but whatever. He's gonna have top-notch doctors. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, so everyone's just dropping out, which kind of sucks because I actually really, really like other than the Masters, it's the British Open or the Open is one of my favorites because it's played in Scotland. I mean, it's the weird courses, like
yeah.
It's just gray skies, a little drizzle, probably like 60 degrees, lots of wind coming in off the rocks. So it's unfortunate. Bubba Watson and his caddy are on good terms now. I don't know. Not Bubba Watson, DeChambeau.
Yeah, whatever.
He's a loser. Whatever. All right.
Even better news that we get to talk about now. Frank Clark in the NFL.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I don't know much about this. I just saw this. Do you know anything about it?
Frank Clark situation. So there's two scandals right now going on. So there's the Frank Clark one where there was an Uzi found in his car. He got put out on a bail or whatever. Apparently it was his bodyguard's gun or something. So, it's another guy, not me. There was just an Uzi in his car. The one that you don't have on here is Barcavius Mingo.
I was about to put it on there, but I honestly know absolutely nothing about that. I saw his lawyers pissed at the team. I don't know.
I think the team made the right decision. His thing and his charge is indecency with a child, I believe it is.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, he got let out on $25,000 bail. His lawyer is saying that everything is false. And they're going to fight it in court. And he was basically mad at the team for cutting him prematurely instead of letting him sit on the commissioner's list. I think the team made the right choice because if everything works out, they can re-sign him. But it's better not to have him on from the PR standpoint of the team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Deshaun Watson is a different kind of story, but like, if you kind of look at the Texans right now, they probably were better off either A, trading him 2 months ago, or B, like putting him on the owner's
the
whatever
commissioner's exempt list.
Yeah, something. So I think Frank Clark is actually going to go to jail.
I think so. Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm one of the guys that I'm usually like, whatever you did in the past, I really don't care. Like, as long as you play football and you play football good for my team. I don't really want Frank Clark back in the NFL. Seems like a bad dude.
I mean, most people are. I mean, everyone has some sort of charge against them in the league nowadays, but this is different because he's got an Uzi, and he's facing up to 3 years in prison because of it. Because I'm not sure exactly what the situation is. I'm with you on that. I know he had an assault weapon, and it was an Uzi, and he may have brought it over state lines, which is what the issue is. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know what it is, but all I know is he faces up to 3 years in prison for it.
Yeah, so we'll obviously, be monitoring on that. Probably because he's going to go to jail.
Yeah,
I'm going to skip down a little bit, and then we'll finish out on the two. N'Keal Harry, I don't think we talked about this last week, but N'Keal Harry has asked for a trade. Obviously, he's not a very big, good. Maybe he's good. I don't know. But he's not a very big name player. If anything, this is just makes me happier more and more. It's just like guys don't want to now that Tom Brady's gone, guys don't want to fucking play for Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that people went and suffered up in New England was to win a ring and to play with Tom Brady. You take Tom Brady out of that equation, no one wants to be there. And we did talk about this because we were talking about the idea of packaging him with Gilmore in a trade.
Oh, yeah, I do vaguely remember that. I don't know what he adds in the value. I mean,
he has the magic P word that a lot of teams tend to overpay for. You know what that P word is? Potential.
I was going to say promise.
Potential, promise, all the same.
Yeah, but I understand when NFL teams do that, and I don't really mind when they take a flyer on guys like that. But it seems like more than any other sport, maybe not baseball, but these guys that have promise that have already been in the league for like 2 years, it's like what more can you do? I mean, granted, he's had Cam Newton who really can't throw.
And Cam Newton can throw short routes. Okay, that's why everyone was so high on Edelman before he retired. But N'Keal Harry's not that guy. He's a deep route guy who needs the ball.
You're not that guy, dude. Trust me.
You're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
That's what I was thinking of when I said it.
I don't know if you going hopping back up to basketball. Team USA got beat by Nigeria. I will say this. I don't think it's as bad as everyone's making it out to seem.
I know,
but like, don't get me wrong, it's really bad. Like, and then I don't know, Precious Achua.
Yeah.
I don't know, he plays for the Heat. He played for Memphis, but he blocked, I guess, Kevin Love, and that's the only reason I'm thinking this is because he put an Instagram with that caption out.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like, you're not that guy, dude. Trust me.
I think it was Kevin Durant. I don't think it was Kevin Love.
Oh, yeah, no, it's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I will come out and say that, like, I don't think it's as big of a deal. And I'll also come out and say that the USA shouldn't, like, they should beat every single team by 50.
I mean, here's my thing, though. Like, you look at the roster that Team USA is putting out. You're not like, oh, my God, this is the redeemed team, too.
It's definitely not.
Yeah. In comparison to what we have.
Well, I mean, also, if you look in, I guess it's part of why they're probably on the team because they, lost. But like 90% of those guys like lost in the first or second round of the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs. So
yeah,
I don't think it's that big of a difference. But at the same time, it's
and
like
there's Kevin Durant and James Harden.
Yeah. So James Harden almost got arrested in Paris with the baby.
No, I think it was Lil Baby.
I thought they were
not the baby.
I thought they were the same person. It just like James Harden. It just continues to blow my mind. Like, what are you doing, man?
What an idiot! Dude.
Like, just go to California. Just go to California if you want to smoke some weed. Like, just do it at your house. Like, these guys' lack of like awareness around them. It's almost impressive. Almost.
Anyway,
I guess we'll start with Gilmore. He released a quote, I think, last week, and I think someone Instagrammed it was PFF or Bleacher. But they were like, apparently said he's like, I just want to be paid what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And I kind of it's the Patriots, so I kind of side with him because I just won't ever side with the Patriots. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, you signed your contract. Like,
that's my feeling. Yeah.
A couple years earlier, I understand that it's not the greatest situation right now, and that right now you probably deserve more money, and that's where I think that these guys, like, I don't like, in my opinion, like they should structure their contracts in ways that like I don't know how it works. I guess I don't know how it works, but like. If you come out as a 20-year-old, like you should have a 4 or 5 year like contract for your like, and then you should get the big payday, like either a 5, 6, 7 year, 100,000, whatever. And it seems like a lot of these guys, like I don't know how they did their contracts or if they did like one-time deals or whatever. But like Gilmore's at a point like every game he plays here on out, like he's gonna be viewed as like his stock is gonna go down. Mm-hmm. Probably just because he's getting older. And I understand that he wants like the big payday right now. Well, if I'm an NFL GM, I'm not giving you a big payday. You're 31 almost. Like,
yeah. Well, and the big mistake that a lot of NFL players make is that they front load their contracts so that they can get paid right away. But by the time that you finish the contract, you're playing for less money than you started, or you backload the contract and you get a little more each year, which is I think what a majority of the league does. But by the time that you finally get to that, you think that you should be worth more because, and the real issue is they sign these contracts either before they're a really big name or before they break out. So it's a lot of money when they start, and then as they progress and get better in the league, they start making more and more money. But then they get to the point where you're Stephon Gilmore, where you're a top, what would you say he is, top 7, top 5 corner in the league?
Top 7.
Top 7 is where I would have him as well. But you want to get paid that way, but you're sitting at 10 because when you're putting in your contract, you don't expect to take as big of a leap as he did. So they were projecting him to finish top 10. Now he's top 7 and he wants top 7 money. But that's not how the way the contract works. And I understand you're betting on yourself when you do that, but you have to play out your contract because that's what you signed. And then you can sign later, you know?
I mean, in my opinion, these guys, they're not going to the right people. Like, why is Bobby Bonilla not like an agent? Like, all they need to do is talk to that guy. He's still getting paid.
He's going to get paid through 2035.
Once again, the greatest contract.
Greatest contract ever.
I don't know if you saw, I think Aaron Rodgers was at like Disney World yesterday or something. I don't know. A reporter found him, asked him the question. He was basically like, I'm just hanging out, working on my health.
It was during the match too. People were asking him about it.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm going to go back, start getting back into shape. So I think we say this every week now. I still don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to give. And it's very, I honestly, at this point, you could, like the ending of this scenario, you just draw from a hat and it'd probably be better.
Yeah. Well, and just to finish up on Stephon Gilmore real quick. If all these NFL players want to make the money that they're worth, let's say, he should sign a base contract where you get a set number in salary per year. Then incentives.
Yeah, incentives.
Play all incentives so that whatever you're worth, you get paid. So if you're Stephon Gilmore, right? I don't know what his current salary is now, but let's say he makes is 15 mil a lot for a corner a year, or is that like a nice baseline?
I would say it's kind of like I would say probably 12 to 14 is like your basic
Okay.
Is your basic not average, but kind of above good corner. Yeah.
All right. So just to keep math simple in my head, right? Let's say he signs, 4 or 5 years ago, he signs a $15 million base salary. And then for every interception that he gets X amount of dollars added on. For every pass breakup, he gets X amount of dollars. For every pick six, he gets X amount of dollars. Then you're truly getting paid what you're worth. The other thing to do, and no one likes this from the team perspective or the player's perspective, is to sign 1-year contracts for everyone, and you just get a new contract every season, and based on how you performed last season, you get paid for it.
Yeah, I mean that's what Trevor Bauer tried to do.
Exactly.
And didn't stick to his word about it. But
didn't work out too well for him. Now did it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happens with Gilmore. For some reason I see him staying there. I don't know. Maybe they'll trade him. I think Rodgers is obviously the more interesting thing. But now that we've brought up Frank Clark and everything, I'm back to being interested into what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson this year.
Apparently, he's going to be allowed to play because he's not going to be tried until 2022. So he's apparently he's going to play. For
the Texans?
Maybe. I don't know who would trade for him, knowing that he's going to get tried next year.
I would trade for him. I
would. On a 1-year rental? Because you don't know what's going to happen.
I'm not going to do the legalese. I don't know. But I think, whether right or wrong, I think Watson is going to come out of this not having to serve jail time. And I think they'll probably end up settling out of court. So he basically just becomes Ray Lewis, kind of whatever guy that has had like issues. I just like, if I'm him, like I'd rather just sit out than play for the Texans. Like there's absolutely no reason for him to play for the Texans. Like he's at best he's going to get hurt. Like, and then
I don't know what's going to happen with him, and I really don't know. I usually have an idea of like what I would do in this situation. I have no idea what I would do with Deshaun Watson this year.
I agree, and I guess we'll move on to Aaron Rodgers real quickly. Whatever's going to happen, I think it needs to happen soon.
Like, because you got to learn a new playbook if you're in.
And it's not even that. Like, it's almost on the Packers now. I think it's like the ball's back in their court. Like, because at this point you have no reason not to trade Aaron Rodgers, other than the fact that he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, which is a big reason. But whatever. Like, say, you either like Jordan Love or you don't. So if you like Jordan Love, or if you're high on him and think he could become something okay, then why not trade Aaron Rodgers for a bunch of first and second rounders around him? And then B, also, if you don't believe in Jordan Love, you could probably get a pretty top tier quarterback for Aaron Rodgers. Like, right. You know, it would be great. Houston and Green Bay just swap.
Tyrod Taylor.
No, Deshaun Watson.
Oh.
Deshaun Watson goes to Green Bay, and
that's funny. Hey, one man's problems is another man's treasure.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Aaron Rodgers wouldn't waive his no trade clause for that, I don't think. I don't know anyone who would willingly go to the Texans right now.
Other than the free agents they signed.
They just needed the bag, man. I don't know if they offered me $1 million for a 1-year deal just to sit on the bench and like throw footballs to Davis Mills or whatever his name is. I don't know if I would do it. I don't want to be. I don't think anyone wants to be associated with the Texans this year.
I wouldn't be, that's for sure. Quickly, Hubert Davis just crushing the recruiting trail for UNC. I mean, not necessarily crushing it, but doing very well. They just signed a 5-star center, and then they also are getting a transfer from like Marquette's best player last year. So, you know, they might be okay next year, but I still don't believe in Hubert Davis. It really is an arms race in college football at this point. It's an arms race between Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson, but who can get the most players? I mean, I just look at it from mostly Ohio State's point of view, just because I know who their recruits are. I know blah, 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 things like that. The amount of talent that they're like collecting, it's insane. And I really do think it's good. There's going to come a time, unless they do expand the playoff, like there's going to come a time where the top 10 recruits are literally like, you're going to see 3 Alabama, 3 Clemson, 3 Ohio State, and then like 1 Texas, or, you know, like one weird one.
Yeah.
And I just don't think there's anything you can do about it, especially with the NIL coming. Like, it is going to help. The good thing about the NIL, in my opinion, is it's going to help the smaller sport people. So I get that. But when it comes to like the big time programs, they're just going to have more to offer than the other guys. Like, Ohio State is going to have more to offer than Penn State. They just are. So it's going to be interesting. And then we'll switch to UFC. I don't know if you watched it. Anyone who bought that fight, you're an idiot. That's why I don't.
$80.
What?
You have $50 on there. It was $80.
Oh, it was 80.
It was 80 for the fight.
Well, I have 2 things on that. A, I think you're an idiot if you buy these things. Like, A, because you can illegally stream them pretty easily, and I don't know what I was going to say for B. And
things
I just don't
like this happen.
Yeah, and that was going to say, and I don't understand what, like, because I have ESPN Plus.
Right. I did too.
I don't know why they tried to I don't know why they tried to sell that package of like UFC is in ESPN Plus now, because I still have to buy it for $80. Like, you get the prelims. Like, who cares?
Well, they gave you a 35% discount on that one fight if you upgraded your thing to the package or whatever. But then still, you're spending $50 on the fight.
Yeah, and then the fight itself, I just don't really care as much anymore. I mean, McGregor, like I like McGregor. He was pretty much the only reason I ever paid attention to UFC. Him and Ronda Rousey in the beginning. His competitive career is over. Watching him and Dana White, like watching him just sitting on the canvas, like shouting out insults to Poirier's mom, his girlfriend, his wife. It's like, dude, there's a time for that. But you broke your leg. Like, just go. Like,
well, and the one thing I will say though is like, not a lot of people in that situation start promoting the next fight, which I thought was a good idea. But like at the same time, you just broke your leg and lost a lot of people, a lot of money, wasted a lot of people's time and money. And like, obviously, like it's not necessarily his fault because he broke his leg, but at the same time, like it still happened, and all those repercussions still happen. So, I mean, good for him, I guess, trying to get the next fight going on. But at the same time,
like maybe work on your actual fighting. The only other thing I had from that, this Addison Rae chick TikToker,
Addison Rae,
who was like, I don't know who she is. I don't know if you know who she is.
I do.
Was she a part of the broadcast?
No, she wasn't in the broadcast, I don't think. I think she's just one of the celebrities that they showed up there on like the screen, like, oh, celebrities in the house. They showed like I think it was Khloe Kardashian, Baker Mayfield was there.
Yeah, the big thing. You don't know. You haven't heard the big thing. Baker Mayfield was sitting with David Njoku and Austin Hooper, but Odell was there too, and he wasn't sitting with them. What do you think that means?
I saw Odell was there.
Do you think they hate each other? Do you think they hate each other?
No, I don't think they hate each other.
I think they hate each other. I think this is a sign of things to come. No, I mean, you should just honestly, like, you should have just read Cleveland message boards and like Twitter after that. It's insane. Like, they're idiots. It's insane.
Funny. I think Odell was just there with either some buddies or a lady friend or something, and Baker was there with those other guys because they were doing like a boys' night for the Browns. Browns boys' night.
Yeah, they had Camp Mayfield a little bit ago. So,
yeah.
The Addison Rae, last thing I'll say is, like, I get it. You got famous for TikTok literally because you're hot, but with all the things going on at ESPN right now, and like, it's not a good idea to tweet like, "Oh, I went to college journalism for 3 months for this."
Wait, what? Hang on. Now I gotta look this up. I had no idea what you're talking.
She had a mic in her hand, so I don't know what you want me to say.
Did she really?
Yeah. I don't know.
God, she did. Oh my God.
So I don't know if she was part. I don't know if she was part of the broadcast or whatever, but her tweet offended a lot of people, and I'm not mad at the people who tweeted at her to go kill herself. I'm not going to lie about it, because there are people out there that I think you'll agree, Tom, that are smarter and more in better positions than us to be in the media, and they still don't get in. And just because you're hot and you like, this is like I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole, so I'm going to say this really quick, but like, these are the reasons why men in like people hate the media. It's because of things like this. And that's why people don't like ESPN, because, hey, if Rachel Nichols loses her job, they'll find some new hot blonde to put in their place. So
I'm reading real quick. Apparently she put up an Instagram post of her at like UFC, and she was smiling over. And then one of the other, or I guess two other photos, there were, she had a mic in her hand and she made a comment in her, like her little caption.
Mm-hmm.
I studied broadcast journalism in college for 3 months for this moment. Apparently it was a joke, says this MSN article I'm reading. She jokingly wrote.
That's fine. Whatever. Once again, I'm not mad at the people who went out there and told her she's an idiot and a dumbass and a piece of shit. And I'm not against those guys. I know firsthand how hard it is to get into this business. So you just like, maybe that's what she does. She just wants to piss people off, like whatever. But like, all the hate you get, I don't care. You deserve it. So shut up. You literally got famous off an app that I still don't know how people get famous off tech, because I don't even know how to use it. All right, we're gonna go to the MLB to close things down. Tom kind of wanted to talk a lot about the MLB. I will first come out and say ESPN held their draft last night. I mean, once again, just having absolutely no awareness of like public relations as basically the Euros were happening and the NBA Finals were happening, and Game 7 of the Stanley Cup would have been that day too. So it's incredible that they just decided to keep doing this. I will say they also made a smart move today, as Shohei Ohtani will be the starting pitcher. I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably tune in for the first inning just for that.
He's going to be the starting pitcher and batting leadoff as a DH.
Yeah, so I mean, they did the right thing there. They're going to get views for that, so I give them credit. And you want to talk a little bit about the draft, other than the fact that they just have no public relations at all. It's crazy.
No, I'm just I really only wanted to talk about the Mets because I'm looking back at the draft. Like, I still don't understand why the Pirates took that shortstop, the high school shortstop, over Jack. What is it, Leiter? I've heard it pronounced a couple of ways.
I say Leiter.
Fine, we'll put Leiter. Jack Leiter was, I think, the best pitcher available in the draft, and the Pirates need the most amount of help. So you would think that they were going best player available, and they went with the shortstop, who I guess is really good. Actually, wait, no, they didn't go with the shortstop, did they? They went with Henry Davis, catcher.
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
I think I don't know much about like the baseball prospects and everything, but I think that's been a popular pick as of late as a catcher. I know the Orioles, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, also took a catcher with their first overall pick.
Yeah.
Because it is really rare to find catch. I mean, if you look at the catchers in the MLB right now, basically none of them can hit like at all. They can't hit at all. So I guess it is pretty rare when you find this guy who actually is like a defensive catcher and is likely going to transition as a catcher and can hit the ball. So I understand the big home run swing there, I guess. And then probably because at worst, either the guy ends up being a really good defensive catcher or he switches positions. So
yeah, well, and I get what you're saying, but that kid that the Orioles took, I think it was in 2019, he was different than a lot of these guys that are in this class today, like catcher-wise. Like this Henry Davis kid, I was doing a little bit of reading on him, and the big thing was this just seemed like a need pick instead of pure talent pick. Not saying that the kid isn't talented, but the big feeling is the Pirates took Davis because they don't like their catcher that they have, or they don't think he's a long-term fill. And this Davis kid was the best in the class. He was a top 5, even top 3 projected pick. So they took him out of need instead of taking the pure talent in Leiter. I don't have anything wrong with it per se, but I would have gone with the pitcher because who's the ace now for the Pirates? Is it still James Tallien? I don't know. They need pitching
once
help.
Again, let go ahead and talk about Kumar Rocker.
Okay. Well, the thing I wanted to talk about with the Mets had the 10 pick and ended up getting Kumar Rocker, who at one point was in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick this year.
If he would have rewind the clock a year ago from today, he would have been the number 1 pick last year.
Yes.
After he dominated the College World Series.
Dominated. And then throughout most of the season, it was supposed to be him, Leiter, and that shortstop from Eastlake. Those were the 3 guys that were supposed to be the number 1 pick or in the hunt. And then Rocker had a little bit of a shaky end of the season. But he was still a top arm talent, and I would argue he was the second best pitcher in this class over what's that guy's name? Jackson Jobe or something like that the Tigers took.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. I guess I don't really know why pitchers get taken so high. I just don't get it, because I would much rather have a position player. Like, pitchers are like 1 in 5. Like, they come through and they do whatever. So like, granted, if you get like one of the really good ones like Rocker, Leiter, or any of those guys are actually like in the top 10, Bachman, like that's obviously that's worth it. But like after the first 11 picks, like and that's the other thing that's weird about the baseball draft. I mean, I think they're obviously like they have scouts and they do this thing, but it's not an exact science at all. Like, and I feel like they take these high school guys and they're just like, all right, we're going to throw them in single A and like floater, sink or swim. It's like sink or swim, bro.
Right.
But I agree. Kumar Rocker falling in 10th was huge for the Mets.
Well,
I'm looking at this. I hadn't looked at it. The guy that I had seen the most as going number one is this Jordan Lawler kid from Texas, or not Texas, high school in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at this. Colton Cowser, like a week ago, was supposed to go, like, was a fringe top 20 or a fringe first round pick. So I don't know. Looks like the Indians drafted a pitcher from East Carolina. He'll never make it up. That's good. I can't wait for that. Yeah, the baseball draft was weird. It always is weird, but because I think they put so much stock into potential.
Yeah, right. And the thing with the Mets, though, like everyone, the real reason that he fell from being the number one overall rocker, fell from being the number one pick, was that after his performance, people were saying, oh, he's not like an ace. He's really more of a 2, 3, 4 kind of starting rotation pitcher. The Mets is the perfect situation for him to land in because you have DeGrom as the ace, Syndergaard when he comes back healthy, and then it could be Rocker, Stroman, and Tajon Walker or Carlos Carrasco. So he really landed in the most perfect situation for him. And I was reading up on him. The Mets potentially could call him up by the end of the year, apparently. They could see him coming in and pitching for them as soon as this year.
Working relief?
It didn't say that, but they just said that they were potentially going to pull him up. They might have him start just because of the injuries that the Mets have had in their starting rotation. But I don't know how I feel about it.
It would not surprise me if like before the playoffs they brought him up to maybe probably either A, be an emergency pitcher to start if they need, or B, come in to – yeah, I mean, he was in college, I think, for 3 years. So it's not like he's one of these 18-year-olds coming out. Right. Which obviously I guess teams don't like because they're older and like it takes them a while to get. But like this is what I kind of don't understand about baseball too. Like I think there are like when they drafted like Bryce Harper, like I know they kind of fast tracked him to Double-A. I think I would have just fast tracked him to Triple-A and then like a week later called him up. And then I mean we go back and forth about the Pirates, but it just seems like they're in. I guess it's purgatory because they just can't get out. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're in a brutal situation.
I will say, good thing to think about if you're a Pirates fan is Pat McAfee is actually actively looking to buy the team.
That is a very big plus. That is a huge W.
And I don't think you've been to PNC Park, but PNC Park is a cool park. It is really cool. And I think Pat McAfee could do the right things there. So I saw that the other day, and I was like, you know what? Even though you guys got the number one pick, you should be more excited about the fact that Pat McAfee is actually looking to buy it.
I'll have to go check out a game or two.
That's pretty much. I'll briefly do the draft. I just really don't want Evan Mobley. What?
You said we're doing the comparisons because I have some.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. But I'll just start by saying I really just don't want Evan Mobley. But yeah, we can go back and forth. We can go back and forth on comparisons. Let's start with Cade. Who do you have for Cade?
I mean, I've been doing my research since you sent this the outline a little earlier. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's comparing him. Just the fact that he's super versatile. Luka Doncic. He seems like a guy who can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think personally, I think he's more, I don't know how to say it. I think he's more of like a mix between like Jaylen Brown and Luka Doncic because he is going to be a plus defender more than likely. Just because he gives effort, which then again could fall off. But if you show effort in college, you're probably going to show effort in the NBA. So, yeah, I don't really like the Luka comparison. I'll also say I'm not very high on Luka right now. I ended up going back and watching a lot of those games in the playoffs. all the blame definitely isn't on him, but he has issues, and like obviously Porzingis, and you're a Knicks guy. Luka just basically never looked for Porzingis ever. Like once he got the pick, he was either shooting or going to the rim. So I don't think he's as good as it would be very interesting to go back, and I'm sure both teams would do the same thing they've done because they probably think they're the better position, but I just don't know. But yeah, everyone has been saying Luka. I think he's taller than Luka, and I think he'll be better on defense than Luka. I don't necessarily think he has the playmaking kind of aspect of it that Luka does, but yeah, definitely. Jalen Green.
Jalen Green. I mean, he's a scorer, and he's not really going to be playing defense. I don't know how he is as a passer.
I disagree with the defense thing.
I don't. In all honesty, he's probably one of the guys who I just have no idea on.
No, you're right. And I mean, if you watch his film, it's not like he's a good defender or anything.
Yeah.
But he has I will say this about all the top 5 picks. They have it inside them to be good defenders. They just have to put effort in. And so you'll see.
Yeah, so if I'm finding a comparison for Jalen Green, I really like the comparison of him and Zach LaVine. I think he's got the athleticism. He's got a nice shot. And like you said, he could be a decent defender, just like Zach LaVine's a pretty good defender when he wants to be.
Yeah, I kind of like him more. He's not going to be able to be a primary ball handler right away. His ball handling isn't that confined or refined. He's like I know I always bring up Jaylen Brown, but I just think of Jaylen Brown as the perfect wing because he's 6'6", he plays good defense, and he can hit shots, and he can dunk. I think he's a rich man's version of Jaylen Brown, and almost more of a Devin Booker, James Harden type, where he's just going to score. If you watch his film, I would be shocked if his offense didn't translate to the NBA. I really, 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 really want him, which then brings us to our next comparison, Evan Mobley, who I really, 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 really don't want. But I'll let you go first with your comparison.
I mean, this one was the one where I think it was the most easy to look at kind of comparison, and that's Chris Bosh. They're both big. They're both kind of slim. They both play defense pretty well, and they kind of have a shot, but not really. When I looked at Evan Mobley when you were asking for a comparison, I immediately went to Chris Bosh.
I don't mind that, and you're probably actually going to be surprised when I give mine. I think Evan Mobley is almost is comparable to Anthony Davis right now. Thus being that when Anthony Davis came out, he was a good shooter. He could shoot threes. He was in the post, but he could also play outside the post. He was a rim protector. I mean, if Mobley's not a rim protector, there's absolutely no reason to draft him. Yeah. Basically, because he has the defensive frame to be there for a rim protector, and you're just hoping his offense grows. But yeah, I like him to Anthony Davis more of now, where Anthony Davis is scared to go in the paint, kind of. He's still a good defensive shot blocker, rim protector. And then it's kind of hit or miss with him on Anthony Davis with shooting. It's you never really know what you're going to get. So
right, I like that.
Definitely not when Anthony Davis came out, because when Anthony Davis came out, I really, really thought that, honestly, and I still really think that if Anthony Davis never teamed up with LeBron, he'd be a top 5 player in the league right now.
So you think he's New Orleans, not New Orleans Anthony Davis? You think he's LA Anthony Davis?
Yes, I think he's LA Anthony Davis.
Okay. I like it.
I think that would be the ceiling for him. I think that would be the ceiling, and then the basement would probably be DeAndre Jordan, someone who's just literally a rebounder, and which I will say his rebounding is not impressive for a 7-footer.
That's something that's why I compared him a little more to Bosh, because Bosch did get rebounds, but anyone that he had to fight for, he didn't go get. Just kind of like Mobley during the tournament.
Jalen Suggs, obviously from Gonzaga. I actually did a piece on him today. I've come around on him because one of my buddies, he was really high on him. He's kind of brought me around on him. And B, also, I just really don't want Evan Mobley. I don't. I just don't want Evan Mobley. Jalen Suggs, I don't know. I'll let you go first.
I had a hard time coming up with someone to compare Suggs to, but I ended up going with De'Aaron Fox. He's got the vision that you kind of look for. He can be a good shooter and a good spot-up shooter in certain scenarios. He doesn't have
Fox isn't a good shooter.
But he's okay sometimes. But the only difference is Suggs doesn't have nearly the speed that Fox has.
Exactly. It's not terrible. Fox's shot has gotten better.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's very good. I think it's kind of on the level of Ja Morant right now, who I will also say have done a complete 360 on as well. I love Ja Morant. I love him.
Love Ja.
Who are we talking about? Jalen Suggs. I liken him to SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's not as tall as him, but he knows when to turn up the speed and get the team going. And then also slow it down. He's a good shooter already. He'll probably develop into a better one as time comes. And I think other than Kuminga, who we'll talk about next, he will be the best defender or the best perimeter defender coming out. Jalen Suggs, I don't love him. I always cheered against Gonzaga. He could have gone to Ohio State and been the quarterback. So it's not fair in all reality, but I do liken him to SGA more.
No, that's fair. I like both those comparisons.
And then you probably don't know a lot. Maybe you do. Jonathan Kuminga.
I'd like to know how old he is.
I agree. I'm also at the point, though, where I'm almost positive where he's under 21. So it's not like he's like a 27-year-old. So I'm just fairly sure. No, there's definitely a question because nowadays, you do want to go young. Half of I love
25, 24.
I love Moses Moody coming out no matter what. But the fact that he's the youngest player in the class is also a big thing for him. So I will say about Kuminga, I'm fairly certain he's under 21.
Okay. Well, I like his size. He's got a lot of potential. Like you mentioned, good playmaker, great defender. At least he should be. The thing that threw me off the most was his 16 for 65 on his three-point attempts. So he needs to develop that a little bit more. Got to polish a couple of things up. It's funny that you've been mentioning his name so much. I kind of feel bad for throwing it out there, but I compared him to Jaylen Brown.
Okay. I would be thrilled if he turned out to be Jaylen Brown. I really, once again, this is also just throwing through how much I don't want Mobley, but I think he's actually he's a better fit in the Cavs roster right now than Evan Mobley because Evan Mobley is a true five. And personally, I think most Cavs fans and most just generally smart people, I would like to hold on to Jared Allen. I think
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. So bringing Mobley in, the best way to do it would either bring him off the bench or play him at the 4. It's weird. It would be almost like a Jaren Jackson situation. But he's just not good enough rebounder yet to be a 5. I think Kuminga is a much better fit with them. Obviously, he leaves a lot to be desired with his shot, but he is the best defensive player coming out, and he has a really good frame, and he has a nice wingspan, and he can score the ball, and he's a playmaker. Now, he goes to the hoop more than anything, but there's hope there, and I think I would say a common trend among these top 4, 5, 6 guys is, other than maybe Cade, none of them are great shooters. So whoever you're taking hoping his shot develops. For a while I was super high on Kuminga, and I was going to give this. I will now say I'm calling down a little bit. I would say he is not Jimmy Butler, and I would not say he's a poor man's version of Jimmy Butler. I would say he's like one tier up from a poor man's version of Jimmy Butler. I do think at 6'8", he's going to 6'9", he's going to be able to pretty much guard every position on the floor. And Jimmy Butler, obviously, as you know, also can't shoot. So
what you're saying is he's not the Walmart version of Jimmy Butler, and he's not the Dollar General version. You're saying he's the Five Below version of Jimmy Butler, right in the middle.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we're tiering those stores, but okay. All right. Yeah. No, I do think he's going to be good. I just hope it's whatever. I just hope it's for the Cavs. And then one more. I don't know if you looked really into this. I really don't have a comparison for him. Scotty Barnes. If the Cavs take him, I'm gonna quit King James. I'm gonna quit King James Gospel. Stop writing about the Cavs, and then I'm probably just gonna go start writing about the Warriors because I'll be so angry.
About the Warriors.
But Scotty Barnes, the easiest comparison you can make to him is, I guess now that I think he's. I would say he's also the Five Below version of I can't think of his name. I don't know. I don't know
who else to say. Anything about him? I had
Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac.
Okay.
Yes, which is also a Florida State product. So yes, you could also compare him to Patrick Williams from the Bulls last year.
I actually had him compared to Draymond Green, but not like prime Draymond.
Prime Draymond was okay.
Yeah, not prime Draymond. I would say like maybe Draymond now, where he's like more of a leader and can still defend, but can't do anything to help you offensively. I very much, from what I've read, I really don't like Scotty Barnes.
I don't like him either. His shot leaves more to be desired than I would say Kuminga's. The only funny thing, I think I have two more things and I'll close it out pretty much. But do you know what Scotty Barnes' high school team was?
Isn't he from Australia, or am I thinking of someone else? Oh,
no. He I don't know where he's from. He's from Australia, whatever. He went to the new Montverde, which is basically the IMG of basketball. Guess what their starting lineup was? Cade Cunningham. Scotty Barnes, Moses Moody, someone else, and then Day'Ron Sharp, who was also a 5-star, went to North Carolina last year. There's probably a second-round pick this year. Their high school basketball team, like I watched like this, I don't know if it was a video or like a story on them. I mean, they were beating AAU teams in their not AAU teams, but like the best of the best. I think I brought it up actually at some point on this. Next year, it's like Montverde, IMG maybe, and a couple. Yeah. They have their own league. They're basically whatever.
The National League or whatever.
Yeah, that team from Montverde. I mean, they would be like they do the Geico National Finals now. It's like an invitational for high school bat. I mean, they were beating teams by like 50 in that tournament. So, I mean, that's probably the best high school team ever. One more thing about basketball, you probably didn't watch it. I would recommend you do. I'm sure the clips are on YouTube. For next year's number 1 overall pick, it was this weekend was the FIBA U19 championships. Everyone thinks Chet Holmgren, big 7'1" white kid from I don't know where he's from, going to Gonzaga next year. Everyone thinks it's going to be him. This kid from France, Victor Wembanyama, I don't know how to say his name, 17, absolutely dominated. Chet Holmgren is a much better player than Chet Holmgren. The only thing that worries me about guys like him is, he's already 6'11". I mean, he's a twig. I'm sure I probably could break his leg in half. But
like McGregor's?
Yeah. But yeah, my only issue with those guys like that is, and it's an issue for Holmgren too, is they're so tall and they're like the big thing now is if you're tall and you want to like go to the NBA or be big, you need to like work on your perimeter skills more than anything. So I think a lot of these guys end up coming to the league with absolutely no inside game. Like since from the time they were 13, when they were, they had They had their big growth spurt last year where they grew 7 inches because that happens to everyone else in life but me. Like they've just been told to work on their ball handling and their shooting and their skills, and they ended up like Kristaps Porzingis, who really isn't a threat in the post. So, also last thing, the Cavs have the 23rd best odds to win the finals next year. So we're not last.
23, baby.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's pretty much it. You have anything else?
Let's go Dogs, baby. You already know.
Yes, go Dogs and
Dogs.
screw Italy.